If you don't mind, I'll tell you the whole story.
We have as much as you want.
My name's Pia, and I have a story to tell and so much more to share. I started modeling at the age of 11 years old, and since then I became the breadwinner of my family. Now my dad left us. I was around 9 years old. If he really didn't want to be married anymore to my mom, why did he have to break up with me too? The phone rings both ways. Why was it me always calling? Say you're depressed or you're sad or you're crying, people just say like, snap out of it, or you're crazy.
This show and your voice makes people who go through such things feel not alone.
It's time for people to meet me and not tie me so much to that title. I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Before you watch this episode, make sure you like
and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell.
Hi, Pia.
Hello. Hello, Anas.
So first question, how are you really doing?
Wow. How am I really doing? I feel like I'm always trying to go for more. I'm always trying to achieve more. I'm always trying to do more. So can I honestly say that I am... I'm contented, but I still have a lot of things that I want to do, and I still have a lot of things that I want to achieve. So it's that fire that keeps me going. And sometimes it's a good thing, but sometimes it's also a cause of anxiety.
True. Why do you think you have this constant hunger to achieve more? Where does it come from?
I think it comes from my childhood. I had a very different kind of upbringing. So if you don't mind, I'll tell you the whole story.
We have as much as you want.
Okay. So I am half German, half Filipino. My father is German. My mom's Filipino. I was born in Germany, but I grew up in the Philippines. And I grew up in the part of the Philippines, in the southern part, where it's a bit more... it's not like Metro Manila. It was a bit more conservative. It really felt like a province, And I had a great childhood, I think. I had good memories of it. It was a comfortable kind of childhood because, I didn't have to worry so much. We had a house, and my dad was working in Germany. It was me, my sister, and my mom in this house in a province called Cagayan de Oro City. And it was great until they broke up, until they had some problems in their marriage, and then so they decided to separate. Now my dad left us. I was around 9 years old, and he left, but I was very close to him, so it was really a heartbreaking experience. And ever since then, we moved to Manila. I started modeling at the age of 11 years old. I got my first paycheck at 11 years old, and since then, I became the breadwinner of my family. I was supporting my mom, supporting my sister. I was the one paying for all our school fees, the groceries, the gas. Everything was on me and how I performed as an actress and as a model since I was 11. So I think with that teaches you to mature very quickly. And it's not just about like making friends and having fun anymore at that age. It's about I need to give this my best because I don't know when the next paycheck will come or when the next project will come. You gotta, treat it like, I mean, it's your livelihood. So it's kind of like life and death, It felt like that anyway. So then I just kept going and going and going. When I was acting and modeling, when I was starting out, it wasn't very successful either. I was really a small-time actress. I was always the friend of a friend or barely any speaking lines in any of the TV shows that I was in the Philippines. And I was just really out of place. They didn't know exactly where to put me. So sometimes I kid you not, I've done so many weird roles. I was a jellyfish once. I was a flower once. They put me in a coffin once for a show, and I did it anyway. And they closed the coffin, by the way, and left the camera there for me to start bawling and crying my eyes out. I just started accepting whatever projects that came my way because to me that was to prove that I was a professional, that I wanted it, and also because I was supporting my family. So that kind of mindset, it changes you, and then it makes you into a go-getter. Like, you want more. Like, what's the next thing I can do? Where else can I do better? Like, let's try this, let's try that. So I've always been wired that way ever since. I think it comes from my childhood. I really think so.
You think it's too much for an 11-year-old to feel that much responsibility?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say that, oh yeah, it all turned out great anyway. I mean, it's not normal for sure. I used to think it was normal. I used to romanticize that idea a lot. Like, oh, I was the breadwinner of my family at 11. Oh, like when I went to Miss Universe, this was my script. Like, this was my story. And I shared it like it was a badge of honor. Like, I'm the breadwinner at 11. And in a way, that's an honorable thing to do. And you kind of had a struggle that you turned into a success story, if you will. But it comes with a price. Like, of course, it turned me into this, it made me more mature than my peers. It gave me a lot of anxiety because you're always wondering and you're always worried about the next project, or am I good enough? How come I didn't get that role again? How come I didn't get renewed? How come I'm not getting any projects? And you just keep doubting yourself all the time. And there's a lot of pressure. And then you also feel like you're taking the role of the dad in the family as the provider. So I wouldn't recommend it, although I know that some kids don't have a choice. My story isn't, in the Philippines, it's not uncommon for kids to help out and support their families. But am I gonna say that that's a good thing? No. I mean, ideally, you wanna spend your childhood, having fun and discovering yourself and being with your peers and learning and going to school and making yourself better and growing up. Focusing on growing up and not forcing yourself to grow up. So it was a lot for an 11-year-old, but I think it had a big impact on how I am today, on my character. It builds your character for sure.
How was your relationship with money?
Okay, so I learned the concept of saving since I was a kid because of my dad. I was very close to him, and he taught me a lot of things, even though I never saw him again after I was 9 years old. But I still try to contact him, by the way, like the years after that. But when he was around, he taught me a few things, and he did teach me how to save. So he would be in the car and then get a piece of deposit slip and be like, okay, you fill up the deposit slip. Here's the money. You go into the bank and you deposit your own money there. And so I would do that. And then he'd go, all right, I need you to take out this much now. So he taught me kind of like how to, but then it's just a shame that it got cut off. I think he would have taught me more. So since I became the breadwinner of the family, what I did was everything I earned, I never touched. It went straight to my mom, and she was the one who was budgeting, who was making sure that it was enough to pay for the bills and giving, you know, us our lunch money also at the same time, just making it fit. It's not every month that it fit, by the way. We were struggling. So we were in this really nice house in Cagayan de Oro City, and suddenly we are moving from apartment to apartment, from smaller to smaller, cheaper to cheaper apartment, all around Metro Manila. And I remember there was even an apartment that we stayed at where, when it was the rainy season, the monsoon season, the flood just went in waist deep. And then we just had to pick up stuff and, you know, put it on top of tables, on chairs, and make sure all the plugs were sealed and none of the electricity was on. And then save the stove, save the fridge, save any electronics that could be destroyed by the flood, like that kind of life. Like we lived close to a river, and it was that. Like it was such a huge switch. So that puts a pressure on you that, okay, I need to do well at work. I need to do well at life, so this doesn't happen to me anymore, and so this doesn't happen to my family anymore. I felt that for sure. My relationship with money, I think it teaches you the value, for sure, of hard work. Because if you earn it yourself, you're not just gonna like spend it on silly things. Although I feel like now as an adult, I indulge in things now because of the things I didn't have when I was a kid. So it's a balance. It's been a balance. But for sure, when I was a kid, I just gave everything to my mom, and it would be up to her to make it fit. So
I ask also, Pia, because your relationship with money started extremely early, and it was a matter of survival. It wasn't like, money is used to buy me a toy for Christmas or for whatever. It was more like, shit, I have to do something with my modeling or being funny or looking cute, because it seems like it's taking care of my family. So it builds a very early relationship with money. And the question would be, even till today, at the age you're in, do you ever feel you have enough, or you always have this fear that it's not enough?
I always have a feeling that it's not enough. And the thing is, I also can't let go of some old, my husband calls it like an old habit of saving. So I used to think that just saving everything in a bank account was the best thing, because it's like, I've collected all this candy, and let me just make sure that it doesn't go away, so I'm gonna keep it under my bed. That kind of mentality. But, you know, he's taught me that with inflation and the ever-changing exchange rates, and the world is just changing all the time, inflation every year, it's just not wise to just keep it there, because that value is going lower and lower. And now he's encouraging me to invest. But you know what? That's where I struggle. Because I'm like, why am I gonna give my hard-earned money to another business that's not even mine, like, and put it here where I don't see it for a few years? Is that what you're telling me? It's like, it's a crazy thought. It's a crazy idea to me. It used to be. It used to be a crazy idea. I used to think it was a scam. It's so crazy. Because my idea was that saving is just keeping it somewhere safe and locked up and just there, but not growing it. So, yeah, for sure. I always feel like it's not really enough, that I need to keep going. I have these lists in my head, like, okay, before I get married, I have to reach this much. Or before I have kids, I have to make sure that I have a house, that no matter, you know, nothing's gonna happen. But no matter what happens, I'm always gonna be able to support my kids without my husband. Because that's what happened to my mom. Like, suddenly without our dad, she was like helpless. Like there was no way for her to take care of us. And seeing that at a young age, you think, no, that's not going to happen to me. I'm going to make sure that I have a few safety nets, so then I never have to experience that again, or my future kids will never have to experience that again. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing.
It's something that we see. Financial literacy is extremely poor in the world. So you're not alone here. Even I grew up in a household where it was like, hey, put money in the savings account.
Yeah.
And it can possibly one of the stupidest ways to save money, because you're getting what, 1-2% probably a year.
Yeah.
And what will you do with 2% a year? If you had $100, that's $102 after a year.
After a year.
But we're like, ooh, that's the best thing. But that's how we were brought up. Rather than thinking, okay, I take a bit, I keep it in the saving for a rainy day, but I'll take a bit and invest it in this grocery store, because if all of us in this neighborhood put $1,000, maybe we can open a small supermarket.
Yeah. And
that supermarket can actually make us more than 2% a year. And suddenly, but we're so afraid because our parents taught us to save. Or just save, keep it there. And you keep checking your bank account and you only feel at ease when it's a certain number.
Yeah.
And you don't diversify revenue and you don't diversify investments. Okay, 3 investments might fail, 2 might do very well. But we don't have that literacy at all.
Yeah.
Like you learn it very late.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you're born in a rich family, where the dad already is doing that and he has that culture. And not many people get that.
What I've learned as I got older is that the rich just keep getting richer. And if you come from really humble backgrounds, it's really hard. It's so hard. Like you'd have to have something really special happen to you. Not special, I guess, but just like you'd have to be fortunate. Like something has to change in your life for the odds to like suddenly be in your favor. It's not easy, because sometimes I still go back to the days where we were living in this part of Metro Manila when we were struggling already at that time. And sometimes now I have my own place and I get to decorate it. It looks nice. But sometimes I just go back to what our state of living before and where we used to live and what our bathroom looked like, what our bedroom looked like, where I used to sleep. I used to sleep on the floor for years. Never air conditioning, just an electric fan, and with I don't know if you've ever seen those, but the mosquito nets that you put on the bed so then you don't get bitten at night because all the windows are open. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not trying to say that, like people are gonna attack me and go like, that's the reality of some people, like you're making it look like it's such a bad thing. No, but sometimes I am aware that I am very lucky and I'm very blessed now, but I go back to those days just to remind myself of like, wow, like I'm so grateful. And it humbles you, of course. And then you think, and then things are just a bit more valuable to you, like being able to travel, being able to have a nice home, being able to feel secure, not having to worry about, how am I gonna get the groceries next month? How am I gonna pay for next month's like this and like that? It's like, that is such a nice feeling.
The first thing we need to change to go from modest or poor status is this.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you, a poor mind will always be poor. And that is why there's a statistic, I don't have it, but I know generally, that I think over 90%, if not even higher, of people who win the lottery finish the money in less than a year.
Yeah, I heard
Why?
about that too.
Because here, they're still poor. That's why people who get new money, usually, you see all the brands, all the cars, all the big houses, and suddenly he's like, shit, how can I manage all of this?
Yeah.
And how I never invested that lottery money or that crazy spike in profit that I made out of my business. I'm not used to this much money.
Yeah.
And because the mind is still poor, let's spend on everything. Let's get the biggest car and the most expensive bag. And suddenly like, fuck,
Yeah.
what am I doing? And unless we know how to be rich here
Yeah.
before here, then we learn to say, okay, why am I spending so much on all of this? Okay, you know what? I want to have fun,
Yeah.
but 30% I'm gonna put maybe some in crypto or stocks or in this business or save. You start to think differently, and then you can sustain wealth.
Yeah.
And that is what you said, when rich kids usually end up being rich because it's not luck. They were born into a system that they learned how to remain
Yeah.
rich or richer. Most 90-something% of human beings around the world are not born that way.
Yeah.
You have to learn it, read books or masterclass or podcast or something,
Yeah.
you know? And unless we change that, and this is so important for anybody listening to this, because I had to go through it, you had to go through it, we need to change this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a savings account, and then there's a, let's say, a financial crisis, and your money's all gone. So what do you do?
Yeah. I think it's not, I agree with you. And it's not just the mindset when you have the money already. It's also like really having dreams and goals and really going after it. And not just being a dreamer, but actually being a doer. You know, everybody has dreams. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I wish I want to be able to graduate from college. I want to be able to, you know, have a family and have a nice car and a nice house. Like, but then, yeah, those are all just words. Like, there's a difference. It's so different having a dream, but actually doing something about it and taking those small steps into making it come true. I remember when I was young and then we were struggling, I was enrolled in this school that was so tiny because it was all we could afford. And my classmates were kind of, not all of them, some of them actually made it well. Like one of them's a professor abroad now. But most of the students were weird. Like they were the kids that got kicked out of the bigger school, so then nobody else would accept them, so they'd end up in this school because it was cheaper and also just accepted everybody. And then I had classmates who were getting pregnant at such a young age, who were doing drugs, who were just bullies and just angry kids. And I remember just sitting there and thinking, this is not where I belong. Like, I want to get out of here. Like, I have different goals. I have different dreams. And I also felt like I was also really bullied in school before because I was half. So I looked different from my classmates. And then I also wasn't a very confident kid. So even though I was in the entertainment industry already, I was getting picked at for sure. Like, oh yeah, she's the little actress. She doesn't even have any shows. She barely has any this and that. Or let's just like pick on her. So I felt like I was constantly being targeted. But I just sat there. I remember just sitting there in the classroom being like, no. This is temporary. This is temporary. This is just now because this is all we can afford, but I am sure that this is not where I belong. I don't belong in this school. I don't belong in this town. I don't belong in this neighborhood. Like, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm not that there's anything wrong with that neighborhood. I'm sure there are plenty of amazing people there, but you know what I mean? Like, in this energy, this isn't where I belong. Like, I need to break out of here. And I just always had that mindset, no, all of this is temporary. All of this will go away soon. So when as I was getting older, I was getting to my teens, I was still a struggling actress. That all suddenly stopped because my mom got remarried and then we had to move to the UK. So I had to leave that, not really non-existent showbiz life behind. I was a small-time actress, but I had to leave that behind and then suddenly be in the UK. And my grades, when they converted it, meant that I had to go back 2 years and be my younger sister's classmate. And then it was also the recession during that time, so I had to like work odd jobs. I worked in a paper factory, like where they pack all these big, you know, when you go to the grocery stores and they have these big cart made out of paper, like signages that are assembled. So I had to pack that, and I was a waitress as well. Like I was doing odd jobs, and I was thinking to myself, man, I used to be an actress in the Philippines, and now I'm doing this. But then, even then, I thought to myself, no, this is all temporary. All of this is temporary. This is just a bump in the road, and I know there's something out there for me. I don't know what it is yet, but I just know this is not the one. And I think, you can't get stuck in that mindset yet that, this is all I can do. This is all I deserve. Like, you can't. Like, my God, no, nobody deserves to be stuck somewhere that they're not happy with. No, like, to me, that's a big disservice that you're doing to yourself and your soul and your life. Like, you're wasting your life, seconds of your life, your beating heart into something that you don't like or you don't love. My gosh.
Dreams without actions are just dreams.
Yeah.
You can sit on a bed, lie there, just dream. And I want to make an important point. I don't want us to be apologetic about thinking, somebody should want to get out of a space. I'll tell you why. I was watching the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary that's recently on Netflix. And he was literally talking like you in one point. He comes from a very small town in Austria. And he kept saying, this town is too small for me. I can't be here. He had a complicated family. And he was dreaming of being a bodybuilder, and nobody understood it. He's a young boy with all these men with muscles on his wall, not footballers, not girls, it was bodybuilders. And nobody understood that, and he wanted to be this, and then he wanted to be an actor. And he unapologetically says in the documentary, it was too small for me.
Yeah.
I had to get out. Now, of course, some people in Austria will be like, what is he talking about? He's ungrateful, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And we have to not take everything personal. If we have people in this small town in Austria or in your neighborhood who, like you said, are actually happy, God bless.
Yeah.
Enjoy, because money is not everything. Maybe you like your tiny house with a nice family, healthy kids, good food, and that's your happiness, all the best. But it doesn't mean somebody else's dream is wrong because you like that. Or vice versa. So I don't think there's anything wrong of wanting more. And I like what you said, that I always want to remember it, to ground myself, to be grateful. And the interesting thing in your story is you, with your dad, you had a well-off, comfortable life.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there was a shift down. And the contrast is what makes people suffer. If you were always in a modest house, and that's all you know, then that's all you know. But if you were in a comfortable house, then you suddenly go to a very modest house, you feel the gravity of change.
Yeah.
If every day we have electricity and safety, and then suddenly it's gone, we feel it. But if I've always had it, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. But let me go now to a country that struggles with electricity or food or shelter. I'm like, oh, okay. New stress. So you had new stresses in your life. Breadwinner. I have to sleep on the floor. There's no AC. There's mosquitoes. I have to jump these odd jobs. I can't have fun with the kids outside.
Yeah.
It's all new stresses that an 11-year-old has to suddenly face that she didn't face for 11 years. So you see what I mean? It's
Yeah. It's weird though. I still feel I'm very careful in how I say that story though, because I really don't want to offend. There are so many people who are still in the Philippines who are struggling. And I don't want to sound like it's so weird. I don't want to sound like I'm romanticizing it, but I also don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, it was such a bad thing being in the Philippines, or like, I mean, of course not. I love the Philippines. It's just that the circumstances of my life at that time, like, it was bad. Like, but I don't know. I can't help but always think about the people back home. With everything I say. Like, I always have to be so careful, like, okay, when I say this, I better not be offending anybody right now who's still going through what I went through. You know what I mean? I want to sound like there's hope because, you know, that's what happened to me. But I also don't want to make it sound like if you never get out of there, then
You're doomed.
yeah, you know?
And you know, the sad fact of the world is some people will not. But if me and you and other people can encourage people to actually dream and do something about it, because look, Pia, sometimes we talk to people and we're like, you know, you should do this. That's such a cool idea. And he's like, it will never work.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, it's gonna work. You just try. You're really talented, let's say, at baking. You should open a small coffee shop.
Yeah.
No, who's gonna buy my cakes? I'm like, bro. But if he can't believe it, then nobody can help him.
True.
And if we use you as a case study to all the people in Philippines, it says, you know, you did all kinds of jobs, even in the UK. You're not happy with your jobs. It wasn't a Philippines thing. It was a circumstance thing.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right.
So if you thought, no, Pia, I deserve more than this. I want to find something that makes me alive and happy, and it's really what I enjoy doing. So you always wanted to find that click. And I think that's what we're trying to do here, is for anybody watching this to think, what is my click? Where is my element? And it could literally be in making pizzas. It could be in a small, I don't know, construction company.
Yeah.
It could be anything. But you have to enjoy it. Like you said, your
Yeah.
life is so short.
Yeah.
At least be happy, or pleasantly happy, you know?
Yeah. Has to be something that you love, that you like.
How difficult was it to lose a parent who left suddenly? And I didn't know that you never saw him after that, although you had a close relationship. Why do you think you didn't see him again?
He left. I remember him leaving. Like, he just packed his stuff. I came home from school one day and I saw him packing his stuff and saying goodbye. Like, he just said, like, he gave me this blue boombox for my birthday. And then the last thing he said to me was, can I borrow this? I'll give it back to you. I'm like, okay. And then gone. I saw him leave. And then I saw him again, like, for example, like a few weeks later, I think, my mom was driving, we were in the car, me and my sister, and I saw him like within the neighborhood, and I was like, you know, like he's there, like, but then I can't talk to him because, like, they're separated now, and then we're leaving that city, so it was tough because I felt like I was very close to him, but at the same time, why'd you suddenly leave me here? Like, I thought we were a tandem. So it was really tough. And I was also very, I'm very persistent. So I kept trying to find a way to contact him over the years until he died in 2013. And at that time I was already doing the pageant, so I was in my 20s already. So I was still trying to find a way. I'd find a way to get the number, and then I'd find a way to call. And then I'd find a way to speak to him for a few minutes. But I would do this, you know, in secret, so my mom doesn't know, because I don't want to upset her. And also I don't want to disrespect my stepdad, you know, but I just wanted to know how is he doing, you know, things like that. And it was tough, you know. I felt like I lost a partner in life, and then now I had to fill his role. it's weird because if you asked me 5 years ago or maybe 8 years ago about how I felt, I would have been like, yeah, he was, you know, I'm so hurt by it. Like, he was the best thing. He was the best dad. And then he left. I'm so hurt by the breakup. But then now, as an adult, like a full-grown adult, you have a choice and you chose to leave. So why should I carry this hurt all my life? There's always a choice. The phone rings both ways. Why was it me always calling? You know? It's not that I'm angry. It's just that you start to realize now, I didn't deserve that. But I made that my fuel. I remember, like, I made that my fuel. Like, I've never said this in an interview, but he was really hard on me too, like a strict kind of parent. I remember he would check my grades all the time. And then I was not really a good student. It was kind of like, you know, I had a comfortable life, so studies weren't really my priority. So I would pass just by a small margin. And then when he would see my grades, he would say something like, you know, like at the table, like he'll go like this, and he'll say, just a little bit more and you're gonna fall. And then one time he called me Dumis Mechin, which means dumb little girl. I'll never forget it, because after that, after he left, I became a part of the honor roll in school. I just became very studious. I was like, I'm gonna prove to you that I'm smart, that I can fill all these gaps, that I can fill all these roles, and then I am a smart woman. You know, it became fuel. Like, I've learned to use negative talk as a way to fuel myself. And even when I was competing in pageants, whenever because I kept losing in the pageant scene. I mean, do you want me to talk about that now, or
Anything you want.
Okay, so after I did the old waitressing, odd jobs, I worked at a real estate agent. I worked at a packaging center. I had so many like paper cuts in my hand. I remember my mom dropping me off there, seeing it from outside and being like, "Oh, is this where you work? It's an office." I'm like, yeah. That window there with the desks and the computers, that's where I work. She thought that's where I work, but I actually work at the back, like legs on my feet the whole day with no breaks. Anyway, so I just used all that money to save, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna teach myself, not teach myself, but I'm gonna use this money to like go to do driving lessons. I need to like invest this money in skills that will teach me so I can be independent, so I can like do more, so I can like, you know, be more strategic with my next job or what I'm gonna do next. So after that, so I've saved up a couple £1,000. I saved up a couple £1,000 from all these odd jobs I was doing. My mom had no idea about the paper cut thing. I go, okay, I'm gonna treat the family now to a trip to the Philippines. We're all gonna fly to the Philippines, and then I'm going to show our stepdad, Nigel, his name, I'm gonna show him the Philippines for the first time, like properly, because he's been a few times, but only in Metro Manila. And that can't be your first impression of the Philippines. I'm sorry. I love Metro Manila, but we have so much more to offer. So I'm like, I'm gonna take you to the beaches of the Philippines, but I don't want you to Google it. I'll take you there. So I used all that money, and then I booked us hotels in this amazing beach called Boracay. And then anyway, I just told him, don't Google anything, I'll just show you there. And then I got them like a room in front of the beach. And I remember when he opened it for the first time, the balcony, he cried. And he says, like, I've never seen anything so beautiful in my life. And I felt so proud. I felt like I did that. So that trip was memorable to me because it was during that trip. Because of course we had a return ticket back to the UK, right? And then we were at the airport. I had my luggage with me, I'm going back to the UK. But oh my God, like I'm gonna go back to do the same thing again? No. At the airport, I asked my mom, I'm gonna stay. I was like, Ma, I need to tell you something. She's like, you wanna stay, right? I said, yeah, I wanna stay. I don't know where I'm gonna live. I don't know how I'm gonna live. I'll live with my best friend. I'll stay with her for a few months until I figure it out, but I think I'll go back to acting. I think I have unfinished business here. And then for some weird reason, she let me go. I had a return ticket and I never got on the flight. And then she was like, okay, you can stay. So that was just the beginning of a couple more struggles, but that was a defining moment. Like, maybe if I took that flight, things would have been different. So after that, I went back into acting. After having been gone for like, I would say 2 to 3 years, something like that. So now I had to reintroduce. If you're gone in showbiz for 2 to 3 years, you're basically disappeared. Like, people have forgotten about you. I mean, I wasn't even a big actress back then, but you know, I was a nobody, and then I became like, who is she? Like, we don't know who she is. So I went back into acting. I couldn't get proper roles, and then I was offered a few sexy roles. Like a few roles for some afternoon soap operas where I had to do kissing scenes and shower scenes and just do a total rebranding of my image from a teenager as a flower and as a jellyfish. So suddenly you guys want me to be this sex bomb like kind of character. Imaging, right? Branding. I said no to it because I felt uncomfortable. I was like, oh, you know what? I don't think this is for me. I don't think this is the direction I want to go. I don't think I can do it. I think you guys would be disappointed because I'd turn up at set and I wouldn't be able to do it. So I'm not the one. And of course, you know, that got me nothing. Of course, I went back, that got me no opportunities. So I was like, all right, no work because I didn't want to take the roles. And then I also got into a bad relationship, like a weird one, and that didn't like the idea of me being an actress. So, I mean, I was young and I was stupid, so I followed his advice, and I was like, all right, fine, I'm not gonna do acting anymore, I won't do showbiz anymore. I became dependent on him. My family was so disappointed. But I would say this was a low point in my life because not only was I broke, but I became completely dependent to a guy that wasn't supportive of my career. And also I just said no to all the opportunities that were given to me. I was lost. And then finally, I just woke up one day and I said, I can't do this anymore. I gotta do something. I don't belong here. Again, going back to that, I felt like, no. Okay, this is my fault. I put myself in this situation, but I just know that I don't belong here. So I got out of that situation. I got out of that relationship. I was again sleeping at friends' houses, trying to figure it out, sleeping on their floors, trying to figure it out. I had 200 pesos in my wallet when I left my ex-boyfriend. I mean, I don't even know how much that is in dirhams. I don't think that could buy you anything. It's just like, and no credit cards. My gosh, no bank account. And then I was walking aimlessly in the mall with my friends, and then a manager saw me and was like, "Her, do you want to join Miss Philippines?" And I said, "You think I can join Miss Philippines? Like, this is crazy." I'm like, yeah. Why don't you, what's your shoe size? All right, try this shoe on. Like, he had a friend with him. It was like, remove your shoes, I'd be aware. Just walk a little bit there and then smile and wave. So I did it. I was like, well, I have nothing to lose. Come on, like, I'm a loser. So I did it anyway, and I was like, yes. And then he's like, do you want to try? And I said, yes, finally, I'm going to do something with my life. Like, that was my ticket. Like, I was given an opportunity, an invitation, and I knew that meant I was going to start again. I was going to start from zero. I'm going to join the competition. So imagine like you're already an actress, kind of like an actress, and then you join a competition. Like you are starting from the beginning again. You are going back. And especially in an industry where I had no experience in. Like there was no way I knew how to like do any pageant stuff, nothing like that. But then they saw potential in me and I said, well, if they think I can do it, then let me just give this a try. So instead of sulking and thinking about that ex-boyfriend, who by the way said, what? You're gonna join a beauty pageant? But that's so degrading. Like really discouraged me from pursuing anything. I said, you know what? I'm gonna put all my effort into this. I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but it's at least I'm going somewhere. And then I went for 1 year, I lost. I went another year, I lost. I went a third year. By the third year, people were like, you again? Like, you're here every year. Like, aren't you getting tired? You're not winning anyway. Like, it's her again. And then it's not like I'm getting better and better every year. I actually got heavier and heavier every year. And then, but on the third try, I got it. So, man, when that happened, I was like, this is it. This is where things switch for me now. And I just have to make it work.
You got me many questions now.
Sorry, okay, I will leave it to you now.
So,
I
no, it's
talk
good
a lot.
because you covered a lot of things that I was going to ask.
Oh, okay.
So it helps me. So the first thing, this all started by how was it when you never saw your dad?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you said something interesting where you said what he called you made you feel like you needed to prove that you're a smart girl, that you can actually fill the holes, like you said. Was that subconsciously or consciously an attempt for you to tell your dad, look at what you've missed, look at how special your daughter is, and I'm worthy of your attention?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. If I'm gonna be honest, I think so. Not on purpose though, not on purpose. Because of course, like, you know, as you're going through your day-to-day life, you're not plotting, you know, you're not thinking, well, I'm gonna just keep trying to use that thing you called me as fuel and prove you wrong. Like, of course, I had dreams. Those were real goals that I wanted, but yeah, it for sure, you know, subconsciously, I think that I was proving to him that I was worthy of love and respect.
Did you ever talk to him when you were trying to call him? Did you actually call and he picked up?
Yeah, there were a few times where he did. And it was weird because he just kept asking me for things, which was hurtful as it kept going on and on, because I was like, I want to reconnect. I want you to ask me how I'm doing. I want you to ask me if I'm okay. Like, I'm trying to reconnect to you as a daughter. And it hurt me that it didn't feel like that. It felt more like, what can you provide for me kind of thing. I guess because when you look at, you know, a girl in a gown on TV, you think cash. You think like, oh, she's got money. But, you know, it's not like that. Pageants are not as glamorous as people think. I've really started off so small, and pageants then during my time were different, was different from now. Now it's it's a career, and if you get into that route in the Philippines anyway, it could give you a lot of opportunities, and you could make, you know, good business out of it for sure. But then when I was starting out, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. It was a completely different kind of industry. Do you know much about it? Like,
No, I know what I read, and I had a few questions on it. I know you've got a lot of rejections, like you said, and very odd jobs. So you definitely are somebody who perseveres, which is a very good characteristic. You should read a book called Grit, because you have it, and it's a very interesting thing, and not a characteristic that a lot of people actually talk about, but it's maybe one of the most important characteristics to have if you want to be successful.
okay.
But one of the things I wanted to ask you is, do you think beauty pageants make you more confident or more insecure?
Both. It depends on how you use it. When I was starting out, I realized that I've suddenly put myself in a place where I will be judged from head to toe. Even my education will be judged. They want to know what kind of educational background you have, what kind of person you are, what kind of relationships did you have, what kind of teenager were you, what kind of daughter are you, like everything about you, because you're basically like, you have to be a whole package because you're going to represent the country abroad. So you got to represent it well. So they will look into every angle of your life. In that way, I felt like, wow, man, it's just never enough. I feel like I'm just never enough. I lose weight, it's not good enough. Like my face is just not Filipina enough, but it's also not German. There's like, like I actually wasn't like well loved at the beginning because I had a foreign sounding last name too. So it's like, but why her? Like her last name's Wurtzbach, she's not Filipino. Like, and I was like, my God, like nothing's ever enough. Like I'm trying my best. Like, so yeah, it makes you feel insecure, but it also builds your confidence a lot because it's like a diamond, you go under so much pressure, but then at the end of the day, like you shine. I always say there are more girls who lose than win. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of girls who audition or like apply, but at the end of the day, only one winner per year at the national level and then one internationally. So more girls lose. I'm pretty confident that those women are now walking away from the competition a completely different person in a good way. Like with real, like now I know how to present myself. Now I know how to talk to people. Now I know how to be confident. Now I know my strengths and weaknesses. I've been put in a battlefield and now I can do real life.
Even if you lose?
Yeah, even if you lose. Yeah.
I know that you won in an extremely awkward way. I mean, you won Miss Universe, but the wrong person was announced as the winner, and then they apologized, and then they said you. So I was talking to my best friend about this literally before sitting with you today. And he remembered the clip because I know it went viral. And he said, it seems like both of them got hit from that because now the winner suddenly doesn't get all the spotlight because people are feeling bad for the one that was by mistake. And the other competitors go to her and be like, it's okay, I know it was a mistake, you were so excited and now it's not you, but it's you. So it's a very unfortunate maybe.
Oh, yeah.
How did it make you feel? Because it's a strange scenario, you don't see that happening.
I thought it was a prank, honestly, at the beginning. Because I was training for Miss Universe for 3 years, because every year I kept losing. So 4 years. And so I kept watching the previous competitions over and over again, and that stuff just never happens. It was like beyond my wildest imagination that something like that could happen. And we rehearsed it so many times too. So I thought it was like, I don't know, like a prank, something like that. But I do remember when because when I got called first runner-up, you go to the back immediately to give spotlight to the winner. So while I was standing there at the back, and then waiting for, you know, the winner to walk. Because of my experience with showbiz in the Philippines, I knew there was something wrong because the cameramen were all scrambling everywhere. There's suddenly a spotlight on me at the people at the back where we lost already. Why is there light on us? And I remember seeing one of the cameras with the light, the red light on. That means it's on you right now, live. And I'm like, why is he here? Like, should be there. So with that, you're kind of like, what's going on? And I didn't even bother reading the teleprompter. Apparently the teleprompter already said Philippines, but my mind just didn't go there. Like, I was just kind of like, what's going on? And when I was standing there in the middle, and it was just me and Miss Colombia, I felt genuinely, really genuinely, I felt so bad. How could you celebrate at a moment like that? That's not how I want to win. That's not how anybody girl wants to win. Like, I know what it feels like to lose. I lost many times. And then losing this way, it's like, it doesn't make me go, yeah, like Philippines, like what? There's a girl standing right beside you who's humiliated. Like, it's not a celebratory moment. Although I felt like, you know, the fans were happy, but there were also people who were really upset. And it's like mixed emotions. You're like, yeah, okay, but this, what do we do about this? And what am I supposed to do now? I mean, I'm standing here, I'm just like, what do we do? Like, what do you do? And in my head, I thought, no, maybe it's a mistake because I wouldn't want to go into celebratory mode and then suddenly backstage they'll be like, you are in fact first runner-up. And maybe they read it the wrong way because there were 3 of us at the end, right? So there's a Miss Universe first runner-up and second runner-up. But what if it was actually reversed where the second runner-up was a winner? I'm really in fact a first runner-up, whatever order it goes. So I was like, no, I couldn't let it get to my head yet because it was just unbelievable to me at that time. But only backstage when I just kept asking the people around me. My manager from Miss Universe, well, I just met her that night, but she was gonna be my manager for the whole year. I just kept asking her, like, is this sure? Is this really it? Like, are you guys gonna change your mind again? Is you gonna take it back? Are you gonna take it back? Like, is this are you sure? Are you sure? They're like, yes, I'm sure. Yes, it is sure. Yes, you're the winner. Yes. Over and over and over again. And then that's when it became real. And then that's when I started to cry. And that's where I had my moment. It was backstage with nobody to see. No cameras, no spotlight, no audience. It was just me there. I was like, oh, this is wild. It's like, you're so happy because you get a flashback of all of the sacrifices, all of the times that you were told you're not good enough, all of the times that you felt like I'm not providing enough for my family, I'm not doing enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not talented enough, I couldn't even get a proper role as an actress. Like, all of this doubt and the rejection and the suffering, like, and financially just really challenged and making it work, and then hearing all the negativity from the audience, people around you, and saying, no, he's still not good enough. You're never gonna win. Like, it's not you. Like, no. And then just beating all the odds. And then almost not winning. And then suddenly at the last minute, it's actually you. It's like, what? Like, me, in my, like, personally to me, because I know what I went through, like, it's vivid, it's real in my head, like all the struggles that I went through. I'm so grateful, and I felt so grateful and so blessed that was the night that changed my life. But you know what? She also put in the same work. She also had the same amount of stress. She also prepared years. Actually, everybody in the competition also probably had a similar story to me. So, can I go into full celebratory mode? No, not yet.
What a story. If your future daughter wanted to get into the beauty pageant, you'd let her?
I would ask her why.
Good question.
I would ask her why. It has to, like, I would ask her what it meant for her first. Like, what does it mean to you? Why? Is it the fame? Is it the money? Is it the opportunities? Is it because you want to push for a certain cause that you care about? I feel like, you know, the world has changed so much in this last couple of years, whereas everybody has a platform now. Everybody has their own social media account that they can grow, and you can be just as influential as a Miss Universe, just as influential as a Hollywood celebrity, as a TV personality. You can be just as popular as them and not be on the traditional media that we see on TV. And that's powerful. So it kind of leveled the playing field now, right? So
With a smartphone.
yeah,
It's crazy, huh?
yeah.
You reminded me of a recent interview. It was a really interesting take. So the guest I had, his mother left him when he was 5 months.
Wow.
And he said until 18, he never managed to find her, to meet her. And he said the same thing to his father, that he would never meet her. And his father said, you don't meet her. So he never wanted to disappoint the father.
Okay.
So he said, I had all of these theories as a child on why she left us. You know, some kids blame themselves. They think they did something wrong and that's why one of the parents leaves. That's a very common scenario in young child divorce situations. It wasn't his. He said, I just kept building excuses for her in my mind until I met her at 18. And he says, I wish I never met her.
Oh.
Yeah, because he said, my biggest fear that she actually didn't want me, she admitted it. So he said, I would always encourage people not to find the parent that left because you're better off with your romanticizing theory that, oh, maybe they were depressed or unhappy or miserable or whatever. He said, when it hit me in my face, it was the worst thing that I could ever hear because he felt the rejection.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, and he was so honest about it. I really appreciated his rawness about it because, you know, some people won't be like that raw. And then for you, I feel it's not the same exact story, but I feel it's really interesting how you're just looking for a connection with your past buddy. And he kept asking you for things. And all he wanted to be, you wanted a dad.
Yeah.
You know, and
you have this picture perfect idea in your head of what the relationship could be like, or what it could have been, how it could have been. And you're right, sometimes you are hit with the reality that maybe I was just making this all up in my head. You know? Because also as you grow older, and now that I'm married, I think, actually, we always have a choice. There's always a choice. And maybe if he really didn't want to be married anymore to my mom, why did he have to break up with me too? You know? It's, you know, it's so weird. I don't want to speak ill about somebody who's not here anymore. But this is the reality, you know, and this is how it is to me. This is my truth. Yeah, and it's more real now because I have a niece and a nephew, so I'm surrounded by 2 kids, and you just think, how could a person just decide to leave that? how were things so bad that you decided to leave that? And put the responsibility on them. Well, not. I suppose it wasn't his intention to make me breadwinner, but then, it's tough.
You know what I learned? And it's the sad truth. That nothing human is inhuman. Anything a human being is capable of doing, we are all capable of doing under certain circumstances.
Yeah.
Like you see a crazy serial killer, you're like, how dare he do all of this?
Yeah.
But funnily, if you were born in the same house with the same circle, with same abuse, same
Oh,
that,
yeah.
same genes, same brain, you probably would do the same thing. And I'm not giving excuses, by the way, because you are absolutely right that we all make decisions. Even you're making a decision to talk to me. Nobody's forcing you to. I'm making a decision to give you my ears and my attention. We do these many decisions all across, and it's very sad. Like you said something so powerful. You said, yes, you broke up with my mother, but why did you have to break up with me? And it's a very tough thing to hear, because, and I do think it's a selfish thing to break up with everybody, because what's the fault of the child?
Yeah.
You know, okay, I don't like your mother anymore, or I don't get along with your mother anymore, but it has nothing to do with this beautiful creature that you both created.
Yeah.
And most divorces are not great, unfortunately. I'm a divorced person, but I would like to believe I have the best case scenario in a divorce because of the decisions me and my ex did to actually be great parents, or as good as we can be. But it's a decision.
Yeah.
And you have to realize that they're not responsible for this. This mess and chaos is between us. They're still there. I need to be loving to them, or as much as present. It will not be the same. We're not under one roof, but it's a tricky thing. And a lot of people don't make the right decisions. And they don't. Maybe you were a reminder, and he doesn't want his heart to break anymore, so he doesn't want anything to do with anybody. It could be a very selfish thing to do, but then a child suffers, and a mother suffers. Anyways, I'll move along.
No, you're right. Also, like, you know, as a kid, when you hear about parents breaking up or your own parents breaking up, it's always kind of like exactly like that. Like, why do I have to suffer if you guys are not getting along? Why am I taking some damage? And then you grow older, and then you realize that, I don't know if I'm making excuses, but there really are some relationships that are very hard to tolerate, you know? And then, but still it goes back to the fact that why are there people around that have to like suffer from that? Doesn't...
Collateral damage.
Yeah, that's the one.
I know also, Pia, that you went through a journey, or I read, of mental health challenges.
Yeah.
I read anxiety, anorexia, alcohol abuse, and a very difficult terminology about pulling your hair.
Yeah.
And I really respect that you said it out loud, because this show and your voice makes people who go through such things feel not alone. And that's always the goal.
Yeah.
You want somebody somewhere listening to us and saying, me too. I'm going through that. She found a way out. Or maybe I can find a way out. So what is that journey for you?
So all of those things happen in different parts of my life. The trichotillomania, I hope I'm saying it correctly, is something that happens mostly to young teenagers. And it's an anxiety that, you know, you don't notice that you're playing with your hair like this, and you just like, you pull, and then it feels good. So you go again, and then you pull, and it feels good. And then before you know it, you already have a bald patch here or here. So for me, it was here at the back. And then at that time, it was also here. And then my mom saw it and was like, stop touching your hair. What are you doing? And at that time, it wasn't, when we were kids, we weren't thought about like anxiety, depression, and mental health wasn't really something that people talked about so openly. So I was just like, I don't know, it's just a habit. But now that I'm older, I read about that and I go back and was like, that's what I had. I had that. So some kids pick on their skin instead of pulling their hair. So it's picking on hair or nails or skin and just like, yeah. And it's a nervous habit. So I think those were the early signs that I had anxiety. And then it just kept progressing. And, it also didn't help that I'm in an industry where, and circumstances in my life that just made it worse. Like, all right, I'm constantly like, okay, how do we pay the bills? Okay, what now? Okay, how do I make the budget fit? Okay, oh no, I didn't get this project. Oh. So you're up and down, and at that time, I didn't have a name for it yet. I was just, and also it was kind of taboo talking about it. And unfortunately, I don't know how it was in the Western world or here in the Middle East, but in Asia, if you say you're depressed or you're sad or you're crying or you're weak or you're like showing weakness, people just say like, snap out of it, or you're crazy, like get out of bed, like, it's like, it's not a real thing. It's like you just exaggerating something or making an excuse, like it's not real. And so I felt like I had to conceal it a lot because it felt like, okay, people are just gonna mistake this for me making excuses or just, they're not gonna take me seriously. Mental health is not a thing. It wasn't a thing yet. And then after Miss Universe, I had my first, so what happens to all the Miss Universe winners, and this is what I loved about the organization also then, is that you are required to go to therapy, whether you had a normal kind of crowning moment or my kind of crowning moment. You are required to do it because what you're going through isn't normal. Like, it's a sudden change in your life. Overnight, your life changed. Even if it's for the good, you still need guidance. And so I had to do a couple therapy sessions. And it was my first time to talk to a professional. And then I just told her about my life. Just told her, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through. This is my childhood. This is what I'm doing now. And these are my bad habits. Like, I feel like I have to drown myself in alcohol in the privacy of my own room, by the way. It was never out in club. Like, so that's worse because nobody sees you, you're alone. You're like, and then she's like, and then I got diagnosed with anxiety and depression while I was Miss Universe. So you think like, oh, you watch the crowning moment on TV and the confetti falls down and she gets the crown and she waves to the crowd and the credits roll up and happily ever after. That's what everybody thinks. Things were just starting to unravel at that time because all of the baggage that I was carrying from my childhood and all of the rejection and all of that is not gonna go away by a crown or a title. It's still there. I still go back to the room having the same issues. Maybe just now it's a better looking room, but it's the same issues. I didn't get answers to all of these questions. So it was the first time I spoke to a professional, and then mental health became a real thing to me. And then I finally felt like, oh, okay, so this is actually not normal, and there are healthier ways for me to cope. I had a difficult time during Miss Universe because of the way I won, I felt that I always had to prove myself as the rightful winner every day. I got thousands and thousands of hate messages, death threats. There was an effigy of me burned in Colombia. Like, they made an effigy of me and Steve Harvey and they burned it. Like, I was a really disliked person over there. And I mean, in a way, I understand. If it was on the reverse, I don't know how the Filipinos would feel. But that has an effect on you as a person. You're like, but I didn't want this. Like, I didn't want this for me, I didn't want this for her, I didn't want this for everybody. So then every day I just had to keep proving that I deserve to be here. Because of course, after a while, those things start getting into your head and you think, okay, well, how do I prove that I am the one for this job? So every day I showed up. Every day I was giving it my best. Like, you need me to do this, even if I have a fever, I'm gonna go. I never had I was never absent, not even a single day as Miss Universe. I never took a break. I never complained. I loved the job. I loved it. Like, I actually really loved it, honestly. But I also really worked myself to the ground. And that had a negative effect on me. So I just stopped eating, and I lost so much weight. I didn't eat, but I would drink. So I just lost so much weight. And then the organization saw it, and they were like, there are young girls who are looking up to you, and they see you in this small frame you have, and they're gonna think that that's normal. I should look like Pia. And then I was like, all right, yeah, you're right. I need to change this. So I always listened to their guidance anyway. At the end of it, fortunately, with their guidance, I was able to get the help that I needed and to get into a healthier place and healthier habits. But it took me a long time to be open about it and talk about it, because I didn't want to disappoint the Filipinos. I didn't want them to think that, what? This whole time we thought you were such a strong girl, like you were the image of perseverance and not giving up and like determination and grit and all of these things. And behind closed doors, you're actually sad. First of all, it sounds like I'm ungrateful. It sounds like I felt like a fraud for a time. Like, I have to go into a studio and say an empowering speech to a group of young women. But deep down inside, I'm hanging by a thread. But my role to you is more important than my own health. But I was like, no, I gotta do this. I can't disappoint all of you. I have to prove that I deserve to be here, that I deserve to win, and that I wasn't a mistake. That I wasn't a mistake. Oh my God. That was the dialogue in my head all the time. It was tough. But I mean, I'm open about it now, and I don't want people to look at celebrities or people who may look like they have a charmed life on social media, on Instagram, or after they win a competition, athletes even, like anybody who looks like they're on the top of the world. It's just an image. It's just an image. There is a person behind that, and they're probably going through their own things too.
Mm-hmm. This is the key ingredient for this show. Mm-hmm. It was to get all of the people you mentioned that are popular, and the slogan is discovering the human behind the title.
Yeah.
So who is Pia? Not the beauty pageant Pia, not the social media personality Pia, but who is she? Mm-hmm. And you humanize people. Mm-hmm. And I think, what's funny is you're joining strength as if vulnerability makes you weak. So if you don't show vulnerability, you're strong and you're all well put and you have everything figured out. And I think the world is starting to understand that there is power in vulnerability. Yeah. Because it takes fucking guts to say, yo, I was depressed.
Oh, yeah.
It's really scary to say that on camera, because we are conditioned to think that's weak. Oh, you are depressed. Oh, it's okay.
I'm sure it is more so for men.
More so, because how can a man be weak? And this is where you read all the stats. I don't have the accurate ones, but the stats on suicide, the stats on depression. Men, we are not brought up, especially in Asian and Arabic communities, and maybe also across, to even between guys. If you say, yo, I'm sad, they're like, fuck off. you know, let's just go play football. And we don't have that dialogue. And then you're like, oh shit, I should never say it again, because they just made a joke out of it. So from a very young age, if you're sad or you're depressed or you're down or you're sensitive or a girl breaks your heart, or you don't want to talk about it. You're like, yeah, fuck her. Yeah, it's fine, next girl. And you think that's manly.
Yeah.
No, you could say, she broke my heart. I'm sad.
Yeah.
I have emotions, you know? I wish it worked out, but she just broke me. But we never say that between guys.
No.
Yeah, it's okay, no, I'm good, I'm cool, I'm good. And if you do that for a number of years,
Yeah.
guess what? You're really compressing all of that emotions into your soul, and then it can come up in cancer or depression or suicide or, and you don't have a very happy man or a human.
Yeah.
So girls, at least they gossip and they talk and they're more used to communicating.
Yeah.
But anyways, but it's funny how you said I would let people down because they'll think I'm perfect. But the beauty of perfect is it includes human. It includes vulnerability. So how powerful is it if you talk today and the audience sees that, you know, we were jealous and hating on her because we thought everything was easy. But she's a person. She feels sad. I feel sad. But she got over it. Maybe I can get over it. And they start to love you for you. Not that, no, that's easy to love. No, let's love a human being.
Yeah.
You had, Pia, a toxic relationship. What did you learn about Pia after that relationship?
Oh, I was young, and I learned that the reason why I stayed in that toxic relationship is probably a result of not having a father figure in my life. And so I was very submissive. I was like a yes person. Yes, kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever you want. Okay, yeah, you don't like this? All right, I'll change for you. All right, I'll never see my friends again. All right, I'll just block all of them. Like, I'll just do whatever you want. Like, you are now the driver of my life. Like, it became like that. I was that kind of person. I am no way that person anymore. I'm actually like such the opposite now. But there was a time in my life where I gave somebody else the wheel. And I was like, all right, you decide for me. You tell me who my friends should be. What kind of jobs should I take? What kind of jobs should I be turning down? Where I should be going tonight? Oh my God, I was that kind of girl.
And you know, that's the best kind of girl for a narcissistic person.
Oh.
Because a narcissistic person, and for anybody watching this, a very narcissistic person wants you to depend only on them because it feeds the ego and the insecurity. And what they start to do is they're control freaks.
Yeah.
So what they want you to do is, I don't like this male friend of yours. You're not allowed to see them anymore. And it can start way more subtle. It could be like, black doesn't suit you so much. You know, I usually like green on you, but you know, that's just my opinion. It could be very subtle. And then now every time you want to wear black, you're like, So that's the little first control. Then it could be your friends, then it could be your family, then it could be anybody who's taking you away from them.
Yeah.
So they start to control you. And now you said you stopped also making money. So you're dependent on them. So the ego gets fed.
Yeah.
Now she's my slave. She depends on me. And it's a very dangerous place to be, dependable. So what you said also earlier in the interview, I wanted to make sure I'm so independent that even if a man leaves me, I can stand on my own feet, because I don't want what happened to my mother to happen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things change you for the better. You learn from that. Hopefully, if there are any women out there who are stuck in a relationship where they can't spread their wings because the guy's too scared of what you're capable of, you gotta trust your instinct, girl. Like, you gotta get out of there. And unfortunately, nobody will make that decision for you but you. I remember, so I was stuck in that relationship for a few years, and that's exactly what happened. I felt isolated from my friends and my family, and I was completely dependent. And, you know, he also did the same thing to a few other girls after that. But I remember going to a concert with my sister. She's like, you know, there's this band, Keen, playing, and let's just watch them. And I was like, should we? I was like, but I haven't asked permission yet. Like, is this okay? Like, but then what time do we finish? Is this gonna be okay? Is this gonna get me in trouble? She's like, no, come on. YOLO was still a thing at that time. Like, YOLO, come with me. So we go watch the concert. And I remember standing there and watching, and I felt like the singer was singing to me. Why am I doing this to myself? So it became this slow thing. Like, there was a spark in me, and then I was just like, you know, this makes sense. What I'm doing to myself doesn't make sense. And so you sleep on it for a few nights, but it's still in your head. The idea is in your head, and you're like, but how? How do I get out? Like, if this is what I really want, it's gonna be so hard because I don't even know where to go. How am I gonna get out? How am I gonna get out? And I remember packing my stuff while he wasn't around, and I just said, okay, that's it. I can't do this anymore. I'm just gonna go. So I start packing my stuff, and I'm hoping that he doesn't catch me while I'm still at home, but he did. And so he saw me packing, right? And then he was like, oh, so you're leaving? And I said, yep. Didn't say a word, nothing. Didn't stop me. And then I got all my stuff. I actually looked back. I was at the door already. I looked back. And I was wondering why I wasn't being stopped. It was so easy. I was like, is this how easy it is? Like, so aren't you gonna talk to me? So I gave it like that little bit of chance at the end. Still no word. And I was like, I'm out. And that was it. I got out. But you know what? I understand that it's not that easy for other women. They're not gonna be able to slip out of that situation, relationship so easily. It was easy for me because he probably already wanted me out anyway. You know, some people don't know how to break up with you. So they just make it hell for you. So you break up, so you do the work. So you say the difficult thing to say, you know?
100%.
So, yeah, but for sure after that, I became such an empowered woman after that. I was like, this is never gonna happen to me again. I am never gonna be financially dependent to a guy again. I am never gonna be one to chase somebody again. This is just never. And then I just became like, for a time, I think I went a bit overboard because I came out like a really angry, empowered woman. But then now I've calmed down. I'm married. But yeah, of course, it changes you. So I don't think, because a lot of women, when they are in a bad relationship, they think it's a loss. Or like, oh, I wasted my time. Or, oh, that was such a heartbreak. Oh, like this is such a terrible experience. But they just focus on the bad thing. Like it's a loss, it's a loss. But you know what? I see breakups as a chance to start over again. A clean slate. Like you can be a whole new woman again. Learn from those lessons, apply it the next time, because maybe you made some mistakes too. But I feel like breakups are a chance to break free and to start zero. You're already at rock bottom. There's nothing else to lose. So I think it's just a mindset, you know, like a change in perspective. I know, you know, every relationship is different. It's not always that easy. I make it sound easy. But girls, like if you're in a bad relationship, get out of there, but also don't sulk in it. Don't blame yourself. It's break the shackles and...
You know, it takes statistically for a person to leave an abusive relationship, it takes 6 to 7 attempts.
6 to 7.
They break up a few times until it's actually done. They break up, they come back, they break up. It's like an addiction.
Yeah.
You feel you're worthless without the other person or so.
I mean, it's harder also if you have a child with the person, right?
Now we go on the other one. does your relationship with Jeremy work?
Yes. Yeah. I am so blessed and grateful that somehow, some way, God said that this is the person who will fill all the gaps in your heart. And he just filled all the gaps in my heart. Like, I don't feel like I'm not sulking in that, I don't have a dad anymore. Like, I have a mentor, a best friend, a lover, but also a father figure, all molded into one person, a coach, all molded into one person. He has so many roles in my life. He's not just my husband. Like, he knows about the struggles I went through. Fortunately for him, he didn't go through any of that. He had an amazing childhood. He had the best kind of childhood. He had the best kind of relationship with his parents and his siblings, and it was just great. I was given somebody who was strong enough to help me and be strong for me, and it works. It works. I mean, I'm a handful, but it works.
I'm happy for you both. What is the most important thing in your marriage to keep it healthy?
I think what's been really helpful for us is that we are always communicating, and we're transparent with our communication. There's no sugarcoating, there are no flowery words, there are no, beating around the bush. Like, it is transparent, and we talk about everything. We went through actually a whole list of topics and questions that we need to cover before we get married. Because I don't want to make the same mistake as I hear about couples who never talk about finances with their partners. So they don't know if they're about to marry somebody who's in debt. Or is the business going well? Are you saving?
Do you know is the number one reason for divorce?
Money.
Financial stress. So it's a very good discussion.
Yeah. But I was surprised to learn that there's really so many couples out there that don't talk about this. They find this awkward. They find this to be a difficult, topic to talk about. But you can't. You gotta talk about the hard things for sure. So we talked about that. We also talk about our gender-based roles or expectations in the relationship. Because, as a man, do you expect me to stay at home and just give you babies and never work again? And as a woman, does he think that I expect him to be a provider and then I never work? So, we talk about these things, like expectations of each other. Does he expect me to slow down? Do I expect him to stop traveling? You gotta talk about. And you gotta talk about situations that aren't happening yet but could happen. Because they're easier to talk about when you're in a good place. If you're happy and you guys are in, you're not fighting, you're happy, then you should talk about the hard things. Because once you're fighting, all rationale and logic goes out the window, and it's just about winning the argument and not winning it together as a team. So I am no relationship expert, of course, and we're still learning along the way. But what I learned is that communication is so important. We're still communicating as we go along. We're still learning about each other. Yeah.
Would you want to have children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking. Because, people just ask me, when are you going to have kids?
No, I don't think it's for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't think marriage is for everyone. Because I'm just a logical man. I think if we think human beings are unique then how can everybody be a good father and a good husband or a good wife and a good mother? Maybe they don't like it. Maybe they can't stand kids.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be ashamed to say, they're so annoying or a handful and I don't think I'll be a good parent.
Yeah.
I'd respect you. So I always ask if somebody even would like it.
Yeah. Well, thank you though, because not everybody's like you. After I got married, I just keep hearing that question everywhere. Yeah. So when's the baby? When are you going to have a baby? And then when you have a baby, when's the next baby?
Yeah.
It's like, before getting married, it was like, oh, when are you guys getting married? And then now we're married, when's the baby? It's like, thank you for asking. Yes, I do want to have children one day. Not now, not at this point in my career and in my life. And Jeremy's also fine with that. But in the future, we would love to have a family. But I just want to go back to that because that's something that's been bothering me lately. My gosh, we live in a culture, and I don't know if this is just in Asia.
No, that's everywhere, especially the Arab world too.
It's all about like, it as a empowered woman, if you will. I think your worth as a woman is not measured by you being able to bear a child. Like there's really so many more things to a woman than just bearing children. Some women do not want to have kids. Some women want to be amazing at their careers. They want to put all their effort in that. Maybe they want to take care of their parents all their life. Maybe they want to commit their life in social work. Maybe they just have different plans. That doesn't mean that a woman is less valuable or less capable or less able. Like, no. I really want to stand up for women who choose not to have kids. And I respect that. I salute that. I want to eventually, but I'm going to be honest, I'm hating that question lately. Like, people asking me, when are you
Because it's annoying. But we have to understand where it comes from. It comes from thousands of years of programming. Like it's, hey, how are you? When are you going to have kids? Like it became so default.
Yeah.
Where's your man? Then you find a man. Then when are you going to get married to your man? Then when are you going to it's like just like a list of questions that they feel. And a grandmother will tell you, before I die, please, I want to see. And it's all about them. And it's funny. Nobody ever puts thought to why they're asking, rather than saying, Pia, are you happy? Why am I asking if we're gonna get married? Are you fucking happy? If I really love you as a human and I actually care, I should be checking on how are you doing, not when are you gonna get married. Okay, what if you're married and depressed?
Exactly.
What if you're a parent and you hate children and you'll be such a shitty mom? What's the point of bearing children if you can't bring up good human beings in a world? And that's what people do because this peer pressure of having kids, especially in our cultures. Okay, the child is on an iPad all day, or with nannies, or God knows doing what, or he's just lost in the neighborhood and nobody knows what. Okay, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
And that child is angry and troubled, and he's probably not going to add a lot of value because that hasn't got the care and love.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Bang.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what? You die, that human being is left for the world.
Yep.
So we need to think of it why we even ask that question. Have you ever tried the cube test?
The cube test?
Okay, just that reaction, I know they never tried. Okay, so the cube test needs your imagination.
Okay.
There's nothing, there's no props, or
okay,
I just need my cards. Okay. So the cube test needs your imagination.
Okay.
It's I'll explain it later. So close your eyes.
Okay.
Okay. Let's use your artistic mind now. So imagine, Pia, a completely empty desert. Okay, there's nothing. And suddenly you see a cube appear. Describe it.
The cube is very big. It almost looks like a door. There's light coming out of it. And it looks like a pathway into another world.
When you say big, how big? Bigger than you?
Bigger than me, like a door.
So like 2 meters, 3 meters?
Yep.
Okay. What is it made of?
It almost looks like metal.
Is it transparent? You can see inside or not?
I can't see inside, but it is not the desert.
Okay.
It's somewhere else.
Is it floating? Is it on the desert or
It's
sinking?
on the desert.
On, flat. Okay. After the cube, you see a ladder.
Ladder.
Where is the ladder?
The ladder is on the desert, but pointing to the door.
To the cube.
Yeah.
So is it tilting or lying over it? Or
like
separate?
this.
On the cube,
Yeah.
touching it.
Uh-huh.
Is it new or old?
It's new.
What is it made of?
Wood.
Wood. Is it more than 12 steps or less?
More.
More. Is it higher than the cube? Same height or lower?
It's the same. It's not the same height, because if this is the cube, it's like,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay. And after the ladder, you see a horse.
Okay.
Describe the horse.
The horse is a silhouette of a horse, and it's inside the cube.
Inside the cube.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And how does it look like?
It looks like a shadow or a silhouette, so it's black.
Okay. Is it standing, running?
It's standing.
Standing. Okay. After the horse, does the horse have what do you call it? The thing to control it? What do you call it? Like a siege?
Yeah, like a saddle?
Not the saddle, the other thing that in the mouth.
No.
Nothing.
No.
Okay. Or a saddle?
No.
Okay. After the horse, you see flowers.
Yeah.
Where are the flowers?
The flowers are on the ground.
Okay. Where?
Next to the horse.
Next to the horse, inside the cube.
Inside the cube. Yes.
A lot of flowers or a few?
Just a few.
Are they in good health or wilting?
They're in good health.
Okay. And finally, you see a storm.
Okay.
Where's the storm?
It's far away in the distance.
Okay. And is it coming towards anything?
Not really.
Okay. Open your eyes. Okay. Ready
Okay.
for the
Yeah.
explanation?
Yes.
Okay. So the cube test is done by a psychologist, Japanese.
Okay.
And it's based on your subconscious. So you don't know exactly what you're answering. And that's where I get to know the most raw, honest
Okay.
you.
Okay.
So it's called cocology.
Oh, yes, I've heard about this.
Okay, well, you do
I've
it.
done the strawberry one.
I haven't done that. We need to try that actually.
Okay.
Okay, so the cube is you. It's the sense of self or your ego.
Okay.
Yours was a medium size because some people say as big as a tower.
Okay.
I would say yours is bigger than a door, so it's a medium size. So you are between, because the big is bold, confident, willing to be seen. Small is introvert, shy, modest, quiet, rather to blend in than stand out. So you're somewhere in between those, I would say. You're like a mix of an introvert and an extrovert. Standing on the sand, stable, knows what they want from life and intend to get it, logical and precise. You said it's transparent, so you're still busy discovering yourself. Okay. Ladder is family and friends.
Okay.
Okay. So you said it's a bit higher than the cube. So you value friends and family highly and you depend on them, like your husband. More than 12 steps, few friends, but you know a lot of acquaintances.
Okay.
Okay. You said it's new, right?
Yeah.
Most of your friends are new or you don't know each other well. Okay. Ladder, touching the cube.
Yeah.
Not completely dependent on family and friends, but rely on them for support and guidance at times. Okay. Horse, ideal partner. Close to the cube signifies a close relation. And for the first fucking time, the horse is inside the cube. I've never got this.
Oh,
by this.
really?
Never.
Okay.
It's always like he's around, he's running here, he's far. Never got the horse inside the cube. It's the most interesting thing. So it signifies probably a crazily close relationship or a
Okay.
friendship or I don't know, partnership if you want to call it. Doesn't have a saddle. You view your partner as an uncontrollable and unpredictable.
Animal. Uncontrollable, unpredictable animal.
Okay. You said it was a black horse It's not moving towards, or because if it's a sign of this doesn't apply to you at all because he's there. Okay, flowers, children.
Okay.
So you said near the cube, which was it was in the cube actually, and next to your husband,
Yeah.
the horse. So he is also part of the mix, obviously.
Okay.
It shows you wish for a close relationship with your children. And I would assume you really want to be the mother to your children that your father wasn't to you. And
For
that's
sure.
why it's at a high level of closeness, not even normal. Amount of flowers signifies how many children you want. You said a few. You said a vibrant blossoming garden. Reflects on the health and prosperity of your children as well as your relationships with them. So that's what you look for. Storm, fear, stress, and anxiety. Vaguely in sight or on the horizon. You are at a more peaceful inner place. However, the closer the storm, the closer the immediate threat. And it wasn't even coming to any of the, not the cube, not the ladder, nothing. So voila.
Wow. Well, that's amazing.
Cool, huh?
It was really cool.
Yeah. Another fun question?
Sure.
This is a card game that we released recently,
Oh,
actually.
cool.
But this time you mix, and I will choose one. I'll get you a
Okay.
bunch, and we'll just do one. Mix it.
Mix it.
So let's see what fate has for you. I'll take
Am
the
I
top
supposed to be nervous?
one. No,
Okay.
we'll give you one of them. You can play with Jeremy.
Okay.
It's not bad. Okay. So now you throw this because it tells you how to answer. Throw it. Be open. Okay. Do you think of yourself as an optimist or a pessimist person?
I am an optimist, for sure.
Really?
My motto is accept and adjust. As soon as something happens to me, bad, I accept it right away and I adjust. Like, that's my instinct, is to like, all right, there's nothing I can do about it anymore. What can I do next?
Is it that easy, or it takes time to feel that I accept? Like, does it take a moment, or does it take days and
It
months?
depends on the situation, but definitely I always think there's a way out of every difficult situation.
Okay.
That's cool.
It is
Is
cool.
this available already?
We're giving you one, yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's a 2-year project, but it's doing it's
Nice.
doing very well now.
Yeah.
And you'll have such interesting conversations, like, and change the chemistry. So you, your sister, your best friend, and only girls do mixed, do couples, and you're gonna see it's crazy.
Do you want to do one?
Okay, fine.
Have you ever done one?
Of course.
Oh,
but
okay.
not with a
Phew.
guest, I think. No.
Not with a guest?
No.
Okay.
So you
well,
choose whatever you want.
I choose whatever.
Don't look. Let's do it with fate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, or maybe you should choose.
For me?
Yeah.
No, I want you to ask.
Okay. Oh, and then you have to.
Sure, you're right.
recognize.
You know the game better than me. Story.
Story. Okay. If you were offered $10 million to break up with your partner and you could never get back together, would you do it? I mean,
Story. The answer is I wouldn't use money to break up with a partner, considering or assuming that the partner is a really good partner. If it's like one of your soulmates, because I think we have many, but you're lucky to find one. So if it's a partner that is a soulmate, no money would make me break up, because I don't know, my relationship with money is more, it comes and goes.
Yeah.
And what's the point of taking the money and maybe being unhappy? You know, I took the money, okay, I can spend after a year and two, and girls and life, and okay, but you lost. And who said you'll ever find another soulmate?
That's true.
So I'd rather find a good partner. I think they're worth more than 10 million. If I actually think the 10 million is worth more, we have a problem with the partner.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Well, there we go.
So, final few questions. Okay, Pia. What is The most painful thing somebody has ever told you.
The most painful thing somebody's ever told me. Well, there's quite a few. There's a few. Whenever people try to attack my family, those are very painful. I find that really below the belt kind of jabs. When somebody attacks my character or accuses me of being a terrible person or somebody who's who wants misfortune for somebody else, that's really hurtful to me. I come from a pageant. You can call me ugly all you want. You can, judge me the way I look, the way I talk, but I get hurt when you attack my character. That's painful. And whether that comes from strangers, people online who don't even know me, or even the people who do know me, it's always painful when they attack you. And
what's a specific one?
It's weird because if I say it, I feel like I'm putting the person on the spot. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot. But I've had people that are really close to me, like really, really close to me, that have said that okay, how do I say this without revealing who that person is? I've had a person come up to me and say, "You're the reason that this is happening to us." I won't reveal who it is, but that blame has been put on me as a kid. The reason that we're suffering right now is because of you.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, it's painful, for sure. That kind of thing sticks to you, and it makes you... Sometimes you believe it. Sometimes you'll be like, maybe I am just so difficult. Maybe it is my fault. Maybe it is my fault that so much misfortune's happening in our life. But then at the same time, I don't know why, but I've just been wired to use those negative words as fuel to be like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong. But it sucks when it's somebody who's like supposed to be really close to you.
Words. Like I always say, words from loved ones are like tattoos on the mind. You can't just erase them. Even if you use laser, it still leaves a scar, And it's like, a mother that tells a child, you look really ugly when you went to the wedding of your friend, and, You looked so out of shape in that colored dress. That girl probably will never wear that color ever again, or will always think she looks ugly in every wedding she goes to. And that mother could have been just angry and just said it for this, and maybe didn't really mean it also, but she just said it. And then you're stuck. It's like, you know, a brother telling you you have an ugly nose, and maybe he's just being a goofball, but you're like, oh. And then until you're 25, you're still thinking, oh, plastic surgery. He might have the best nose in the world.
Yeah.
It's words.
Especially when you're young.
Especially when you're young. You don't have the thick skin or the confidence. When were you disappointed in Pia?
Oh. I was disappointed in Pia when... I was disappointed in Pia when I mean, the worst is when I let myself down. I am also I'm a kind of person that I find it very hard to say no sometimes. And that puts me in situations where people take advantage of me and take advantage of my kindness, my generosity. And I've had some friends in the past that have really... It's weird because they think when you reach a certain level of success, you change. But nobody ever talks about the people around you. They also change. They change the way they act around you. They change, and you feel like, wait a minute, back then, all you wanted from me was my time. Now it's more than that, right? So, but it's because it's your friend, you're like, you allow it, so you enable the kind of behavior. And before you know it, you feel like a commodity. You're not really seen as a person anymore, but more of as a thing to be displayed and used. So I've had situations in the past where I let those relationships go on and on and on. And me always reasoning in my head, not, you know, but this person has known me before all of this. I can't just cut ties with them. So hard. Because the thing is, I will always meet new people now, and they will always know me as Pia now, the one who won Miss Universe a few years ago. But the people who know me before Miss Universe, they're just that fixed number of people. And I will never meet another person again who won't know me without the title and all that. So I value them. It's tough when some of them, or when it's from that group, that kind of changes. And then you kind of have to make the conscious, healthy decision to cut people off your life. And you're like, man, we had it so good.
I need to show you something. Can I get my big phone? Because I didn't memorize it, but I think you're gonna like it. I hope I can find it.
You got me. Trees don't hang around with the grass, even though they all started from the same place.
Trees don't hang around in the grass, although they started from the same place.
Learned is a
It's cool, huh?
Yeah.
So you started with some people, but not everybody is a tree that can grow and evolve. You know, some people just stay at the same thing. You go back and you see that they do the same thing.
But then sometimes you wish they would grow with you as a
Of course,
tree.
but not
right?
all of them.
But then what if they actually stop you from growing?
So they shouldn't be there, like leaves that fall off. What is the hardest decision you've had to make?
The hardest decision I've had to make. Some of the hardest decisions I've had to make. you know, I'm really trying my best to think of a hard decision that I've had to make. I feel like whether I've made a good decision or a bad decision, it's led me to a place where I learn anyway. So maybe there was a difficult decision or a bad decision, but
Not bad. It was just hard to make a decision, like leaving a
Hard.
bad job or leaving a bad relationship or choosing to come back to Philippines and stay there,
Yeah, it was very hard. Well, okay, I'll relate it to something more recent. I've had to make this conscious decision now to step away from pageantry. It's been 8 years since Miss Universe. I'm very, very grateful that it's given me so many opportunities and that it's just kept going on and on and on. I was told before that, give it 2-3 years and the star will fade. I was told that by some people, that winners are only there for maybe a year or 2 or 3, but after that, no more. But it's been 8 years and this machine is still going and I'm very, very grateful. But I think it's time for people to meet me and not tie me so much to that title. I don't want it to be the only thing in my life. I don't want to think that Miss Universe was the peak of my life. It was a peak, but not the only peak. I'd like to believe that it was a stepping stone. It was a stepping stone to more things. Yeah, maybe I won't win a competition again, or maybe I won't have a moment again that's watched by millions and millions of people, or I don't know if it even reached 1 billion, but it was pretty widespread all over the news. Maybe I won't have a moment like that again, a dramatic TV moment, but maybe my new wins will be private. Maybe my new wins will be in the corners of my home. Maybe they will be with only one audience instead of 1 million. Maybe they will not come in the form of a prize or a crown or a prize, like a monetary value. Maybe they will be a different kind of wins. So I'm making a conscious effort of, this is gonna break a lot of pageant fans' hearts, but not stepping away from pageantry, but just reintroducing a new side of me. Because a title it's just a title. My name's Pia, and I have a story to tell, and so much more to share, and so much more that I want to do. Going back to your first question, like, how are you really doing now, today? Yeah, I don't feel like I'm done yet.
Good. I don't think you are. What is your greatest fear?
Wow. I think death is my greatest fear. Yeah. The other day I was talking to Jeremy about the reality of life, One day we're going to have to go to have to see our parents pass away. That happened to one of my parents already. But unfortunately for Jeremy, at his age, he's never been to a wake. He's never seen a person in a coffin. And I'm like, okay, that's very odd. And I wonder if, if people who have never seen, I don't want to say the word, but dead people, I wonder if death is real to them, if it's a reality in their head. When you're young, you feel like you are immortal. You can drink as much as you want. do all the crazy things, you will not die. You don't even think about that. But as you're getting older and your friends around you are slowly starting to feel things, you have friends who are passing away. Some of them maybe during COVID, some of them because of illnesses genetically that they had. Some of them are just not in the same shape as when you first met them. Maybe some of them really do pass away. It becomes real to you. And it becomes more real when you see your parents getting older. Like, I look at my mom and I see that she's getting older. And I think, am I going to be able to handle it when she's gone? Oh my God. And I look at my niece and my nephew and I think about like life and this and my life and all this. All this is borrowed, is temporary. To me, is real. Mortality is real. It's such a scary thing. Sometimes just randomly, I don't know if I'm the only one, but sometimes just randomly, I'll suddenly think about it and there's this dread feeling that one day I know the inevitable will happen and I will never be able to open my eyes again and I won't know what happens to the world. I won't know what will happen. I don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. Will never learn a thing anymore and I will never hug anymore, smell, taste, touch, kiss, feel. Just emptiness. And it's so scary. It's such a scary feeling, but at the same time, it's like a trigger that wakes me up and says, well, what are you going to do about it? You know that time's going to come. I know it's a little morbid, but you know that time's going to come. But what are you going to do about it now? I want to feel alive. I want to stay awake and alive and be as present as possible and make the most out of it. Have the most fun. Feel the most. Like, I just want to. The thing is, sometimes we get caught up in the little things and we feel like, oh, it's so dreadful. Like, the little things bother us, like little petty problems. If you think about really how big the world is and what really is going on, we are so small and we are so fragile and we are just a speck, a little tiny speck in the universe. You don't matter at all, but at the same time, you are also everything. You are nothing and everything at the same time. It's just so humbling when you really, really think about how life is so precious that every second right now, every time, it's all a countdown. It's not, you know what I mean?
We are 2 hours closer to our deaths.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The time just keeps, that's the actual truth.
It is scary. So that's my biggest fear, but it's also my biggest motivation.
And God gives you hope, I'm praying that God gives you a beautiful long life. So hypothetically, if you were to pass away tonight without the chance to communicate to anybody,
Yes.
who would you regret not communicating to?
My mom. I always feel like I have one parent left, although I have a stepdad. I mean, biologically, like my mom, she's my only parent left. She lives all the way in the UK. I try to give and provide as much as I can, but I always feel like it's never enough. I always feel like I want to give her the best life possible, because if I think my life is short, think about our parents' life. I know it's not our obligation to take care of our parents, But, you know, I hear that all the time. Like, you know, it's your children. It's not our obligation to look after your parents. They didn't bring you into this world to become their caretakers, that. But I'm like, no. It's not about that. It's about, if you can and you have it good in your life and you can share, why not? Why not? Make life easier for your parents. Give back. Give them your time. I would, because she lives so far away and I only see her a few times a year, and I also don't speak to her every day. I know one day I'm gonna regret that. Even though, you know, it's tough. You're working, you're an individual who has a husband. I have a husband now. Soon in the future, I'm gonna have kids. I also have my job. Like, I can't be there for my mom 24/7, but I also know that that's gonna bite me in the back one day. I always gonna feel like I should have given more time. I should have picked up the phone a few more times. I should have called a few more times. Should have asked all the questions. Should have said all the things. I know what it feels like to lose one. And I do have regrets with that. I don't want to make the same mistake again. I have a lot of respect for parents. I have a lot of respect for my mom.
Her name is?
Cheryl.
So what would you have loved to have messaged her before you're gone?
Oh my God. I try not to imagine these things, but I would say, thank you for giving me the best life possible. Whether it was intentional or not. I mean, not that giving birth to me was unintentional, but that, you know, there's some things that happened in her life that I'm sure she wished she did differently. I'm pretty sure that in her marriage, like, it fell apart. I'm pretty sure she has regrets. I'm pretty sure she has moments where she felt like, maybe if I did it this way instead of that way, things could have been different. We have to remember that our parents were once kids. They were once this small. They were also a blank canvas, and they're a result of their own childhood and their own upbringing. And there's no guidebook on how to become a parent. You'll get, advice from other people. But I try to remember that our parents are also just learning things along the way. And things happen to them, challenges happen to them. Like, there's a breakup, suddenly she's gotta get divorced, and suddenly she's left with me and my sister, and suddenly, like, there's no money, and suddenly this and that. Like, there's no way that you can prepare for something like that. You just adjust along the way. And maybe there were some decisions that weren't so great, but maybe some were okay, maybe some weren't. But I get it. Like, I get it. I get it. It's not easy. I get it. Like, I'm not angry at that. I'm not angry. I don't blame my mom for me having to work at a young age. I don't blame my mom that I had to feel some pressure, a lot of pressure when I was growing up. No. Like, you were also just learning as you were going along. And it just so happened that all of us had to suffer. And I'm not gonna pin that on one person. I'm not gonna pin that on my mom. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, she was also going through a lot. I understand.
Pia, if you could write a letter to your late dad, and he would read it today, what would you write?
Do I want it to come? This is tough. Oof. I would say, you don't have to say sorry, but I forgive you. maybe you're not even sorry at all, but I still forgive you. It wasn't nice. It was definitely very, very difficult. But you made some choices, and I'm not gonna do that pain anymore, because I'm sure even when I wasn't around, you felt it. I'm sure you must have. In fact, I know that there's some regret there. I know for a fact that there was. A friend of him told me that there was some, I don't know if it's regret, but kind of wondering, like, what if, kind of like that. So I forgive him. It's okay. I'm not angry. I don't want to harbor anger towards either of them, either of my parents. And ultimately, I want to know if he's proud of the woman I've become. Like, you weren't around, but look what happened anyway. Yep, I think it would be something like that. I wish I could. I wish there was a way. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a way?
Write the letter either way.
Yeah.
And you never know. You
Yeah.
never know. They can hear you. Just write the letter.
Yeah. I'm not an angry person. I really don't walk around with like a chip on my shoulder and being like, it's 'cause my dad, he left, or it's 'cause my mom, like, nope.
Yeah, I can
I'm
tell.
good.
If you had to summarize Jeremy in one word,
Oh my gosh.
what would you choose?
One word. Complete would be the word.
Complete.
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes me feel complete. He's also like literally everything I've ever wanted in a partner, and with bonuses, with added extras that are welcomed and cool, and he also makes me feel. Maybe that's why I'm not angry, you know? I think so. I think maybe that's why, despite like a really difficult childhood, that, you know, when people listen to a story like that, some people could right away say, your parents, they should have taken better care of you. Your mom shouldn't have let you work at such a young age. Your dad shouldn't have left. Like, yeah, okay. But I'm so blessed right now. I have a person who makes me feel like I don't have to be angry. I don't have to walk around like with this. No, I feel light and easy and like, and I hope it stays that way.
Well, as long as you're in the present, make the most of it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a little girl when you're with him?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I feel like he is healing the inner child in me.
I'll tell you why. I saw a beautiful video a while back, and it really made sense. And the guy was talking about, he said, when a woman is really in love, and I mean really, really in love, that love makes her feel like a little girl again. Makes her youthful and beautiful, and she can be silly and cute because she feels safe.
Yeah.
And that is when you know you're in a really good love.
Yeah.
You can be that little Pia, you know, the naughty one, the cute, sneaky one. And and you feel safe. And I think it's so true, and I think it also applies on the men. You feel like a little boy, you can act dorky and you act stupid.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the best feeling. When you're able to like, you know, not feel so stiff and like...
Why does this love topic make you so emotional?
I mean, I didn't expect it, you know. I wasn't looking for it. No way. I just like had... Like my past relationships were okay, but it wasn't... And I wasn't looking for Jeremy when I found him. And I also wasn't looking for... Like when you meet a person for the first time, you don't know them right away, like the full character, right? As I got to know him more and more, I realized more and more, like, wow, like we're aligned. And even with the stuff that we're not aligned, we somehow fill the gaps and it just connects. So I'm just so happy with that. I felt like I won again when he came into my life. I knew he was a great, great influence to me because I started to become more expressive. I used to not say I love you to my family. Like it was a cringy thing for me. Like to say I love you to my mom, it would be like, I love you. It was like, and then to my sister also, it was like, yeah, love you, bye. Like it was always in a form of a joke, or it felt awkward because maybe it was because of my childhood and my upbringing. Like there wasn't a lot of affection and a lot of like expression of love because it was just so kind of all over the place. So even towards my friends, I find it awkward to like open up, express love, and even hug. Felt like, okay, you know, I had a problem with intimacy.
And vulnerability.
Yeah. But when he
Because
came
it's a
into my
defense
life...
mechanism. You're afraid to love because you might be deserted again.
Yeah.
You're afraid to show love because you might lose that person that you're...
Yeah.
It's very normal. Last death question, because I know you don't like this topic, but I'll tell you why I think death is important.
Yeah.
Death is important because it reminds us of our limited time and the people who matter. It's like a filter.
Yeah.
It's really a filter. It's like a wake-up call of your life. So this question, I make it more on, imagine you had the blessing of being on your deathbed after a long life.
Yeah.
And everybody that you love, Jeremy, your mom, your children are around you. And you have the chance to say a few things before you go. What would you think they need to hear?
YOLO. Just kidding. I just had to say it out loud. I would say, that thing that you always said that you wanted to do, go do it. And that small thing that's stopping right now, forget about it. Sometimes, most of the time, especially with the digital world we live in now, we feel like everybody's watching us. We make a small mistake, all eyes on you. And you're like, oh my God. But then really, people are too busy thinking about themselves. That's the reality. So why not just go? Just do what you want to do. Live your life. That one thing you always said you were going to do, just try it. Like my wish for myself is that I never have any regrets. I can never turn back time again. I want to have lessons, hard lessons. That I welcome, but regrets? Being there, sitting there, laying there and thinking, oh, I should have done that one last thing, but now I can't. Oh, like it is impossible. You cannot turn back time. Just give it a try. Because the worst thing you'll get is a no. That's the worst thing you'll get is a no. But just give it a try.
And you know, if you never try, it's always no.
Yeah, actually.
Last two. If I can take Pia's heart
Okay.
with all that it's gone through, with what you told me in the last couple of hours, and I can place it in front of you, what do you think your heart is going to tell you?
Can you take care of me? That's what my heart would tell me. Can you just be more gentle? We've been through enough. Yeah, come on. Give yourself a break. Enjoy. Stop worrying about the little things. Stop beating yourself up about small things. It's all gonna be okay. Everything turned out to be okay anyway. We deserve a break. We deserve a break. I think that's what my heart would say. It's been through a lot. And I know, you know, I'm still gonna go through a lot. But you need to take care of it. You need to take care of you. Sometimes that's harder, you know. Yeah.
And the last one. Pia in one word.
Pia in one word. Oh, that is so hard. This is probably the hardest question of the night. Pia in one word. She is. There's so many words that are coming to my mind right now, but I don't know if that is the word that I want to go for. Sometimes I'm thinking thriving. Sometimes I'm thinking, no, but I'm fighting. No, but I'm happy. But
What represents you as a human in one word? If we saw Pia from far and I told you that person in one word.
oh, she's a survivor.
Okay, there you go.
I think that's the word.
Survivor. Thank you.
Thank you.
We hit the record, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's 2 plus 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's an interesting story.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for yours.
This is also a lot for you.
No, I'm used to this. And I enjoy people. I enjoy listening to stories, you know. So I feel I'm blessed to be able to listen and make the person feel heard so that they can keep talking. And then I can take the story and just spread it, you know.